Hey, and welcome to this video. Super excited for this one today. It's been a little bit since I've done a tutorial and a how-to, so I think you're gonna like this. Let's get started. I have the new Scorched Timber Distress color. I have all of the collection of Scorched Timber, and Tim Holtz said, I don't know, last year maybe, that the distress colors were getting ready to be wrapped up and that he had some neutrals that he was going to introduce to the mix. And now we have what's called a Scorched Timber. Very interesting color. I've actually really loved using it. So a couple things we're going to do today. First, I just want to sample out the browns that I have here in the studio just to give you an idea of what this looks like. I don't think it is rocket science, but I do like to do this, and I just want to share it with you before we get into some other things. Okay, so what I have here is the Scorched Timber, and then the Vintage Photo, and then the Ground Espresso. I've had this for a very long time, and I just continue to use it. So I use this little bit skinnier design. So we'll start with the Vintage Photo. Just get it good and inked up, right? You know how this goes if you are a stamper. And I do try to get a good amount on it because I do want the color to be pretty solid. So, and I don't obviously have to ink up the whole entire stamp because I only have this 4.5 inch tag. The other thing I like to do is just kind of make it off the page a little bit, the tag a little bit, and then just give that some good pressure. Let's see if this works good. Yeah, a little light, but it gives me an idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark this before I move on that this is Vintage Photo, Vintage Photo, and I have it on SBC Mixed Media. And I'll repeat that on the other ones. Let's go ahead and do Scorched Timber, because that's what you're here for. And so we won't have a problem with Scorched Timber getting a good coverage on our stamp pad, on our stamp, because it's brand new stamp pad. So I probably need to re-ink my Vintage Photo a little bit. But you get the idea of what we're doing here. So here we go with Scorched Timber. You know the routine and the drill here, right? You see where we're going with this, right? No surprise. So already you can see, even though this is a little faded, how much more rich and deep Scorched Timber is. Super eager to see it with Ground Espresso, because if you look, I don't know how well your screen is, but if you're looking at this and looking at the impression versus the cover, it looks like completely identical, but it's not. It's this one here. Well, this one's very, very chocolatey, very true brown. So let's get this one ready. This particular ink pad is a little newer to the studio. Vintage Photo has been here for a while. And I don't have any really good answers for you about how often to re-ink your stamp pads. I mean, I kind of milk mine for all they're worth. All right, here we go with Ground Espresso, which I'm loving the name of that. Don't you just love this stamp? It just leaves the most amazing impression. So there you have it, Ground Espresso, Scorched Timber, and Vintage Photo. And I'm still kind of hanging to what I said earlier. Very, very chocolatey. This is a very deep brown, although I'm going to show you something where it comes off very soft. And then this is so much lighter with almost more of an orange family coming up from underneath. So that's my sampling for you. Let me show you some of the things I've made so far with Scorched Timber. Before we do that, I want to show you something that I love to do when I have a whole bunch of ink that I know is still on my stamp, especially something this big, especially it's something that has this ornate of a style to it. And this is not new. You've seen this before too. I like to give it a spritz, and I like to grab one of my art journals, and I just grab a page. I don't care. And I'll just re-ink that on there. And it's going to have a different kind of an impression because of the water. And I love that. Of course, this isn't the scorched timber. We're still in the ground espresso. Isn't that fun? That's just ready for me now whenever I want to do something with that page. But I had to share that with you. Don't waste your ink. All right, just want to take a few moments here and share a couple of things that I made. Thank you so much to ScrapbookCom, who sent me an early package of the Distress Scorched Timber. And I was able to make these things, and it's now up on their site. So that's why I have it already in my hot little hands. So I want to share this tag. I love tags. I dream about tags. I make tags. Did I tell you I love tags? Because I do. So you can see where this one came from, right? That Baroque stamp is in the background. I use the technique I just shared with you on that art journal page where I had inked this somewhere already, and then I added some spritzes of water, spritzes, if that's a word, and added it to the background of the stamp. I also used that We Are Makers reinforced hole punch, and I inked it up also with the Distress Oxide. New to the Distress line right now too are these little mini tiner inkers. Tell me how cute those are. They are so cute. So I took advantage of having that and added some inking around the edges of this tag. Okay, and then using the new Vault pillow and bag die set, there's a label in here. So I cut out the label out of also the mixed media paper, and I inked it up. Now, I don't know how well you can see that, but that's the scorched timber, and look at it against that real watery stamp impression. It looks really different. It almost looks gray at this point. Super excited to see those different variations in this. And one of the reasons I was so excited about that is because what I have, for the most part, being layered here are elements from 49 and Market's Moonlit Garden. I love this stamp color with that collection, so I pulled it out. This is the only make, though, that I added these elements to from the Moonlit Garden, but I want to show you something else in a moment that is going to actually find place in the art journal that's going on with my one word this year. But I just think it's beautiful how all this works together. This is one of the 6x8 papers from Moonlit Garden by 49 and Market, and I'm going to pop it up here a little bit against this paper, and this is going to be one of the first pages in that one-word album. See what I mean? Anyway, I can see it. I just think it is really beautiful. Sometimes these things play out so much better in real life than they do in a video like this, but I hope you get what I'm getting here. When I saw that color, I'm like, oh, here we go, Moonlit Garden. I'm so doing this in my one-word album. I showed you this earlier, and I also want to show this on another page as well, but I just want to talk about it for a second, where I just had fun. I've done these backgrounds on my channel before just with inks, and came in here with the stamp, have a little bit of stamping over here. There's a real subtle background stamp that you probably can't see, but I can see that it's there. Then what I did is I took this new Vault scribbly butterfly, I punched it out on the mixed media paper, and then I daubed it with embossing ink, and then covered it with actually I inked it first. I went ahead and inked it because the Distress embossing glaze can tend to be translucent, and I didn't want that. I wanted the pop of that brown, and I wanted that enamel. I do this a lot on butterflies. I wanted that whole enamel feel. I wanted that different media feel that was going on here. So I covered it twice and embossed it twice, and really like how that came to life. Wrapped it with some ribbon, wrapped it with some twine. I cut a piece of paper with some postage dies that I have, and that blue there is from Moonlit Garden. And then this is a quote flare from Ideology, also Tim Holtz, that I think just works. This is a real vintagey kind of a make for me. I think at the heart and soul of who I am, this is what I really do like to make. I don't do it all the time, but I just love that. You know, that's another subject for another time, right? As well, right? Is we can make anything we want, any way we want, and we can just love and embrace it. But I also wanted to share with you this pink number. I have always been a fan of brown and pink together. So I challenged myself, and you can see the way this turned out. The brown is actually so soft. The scorched timber came out so soft because I used the mixed media paper and I inked it up. And maybe this will be the make we do today, so you can see how this turned out. I inked it up with a blending brush, and then I punched it out with this Vault Wildflowers dies, several of them. We will do this one today. I think this is an important one to share with you. And then just how light this came out, just our layers. Embellished Clusters 101 right here is at work. And then I can't be sure if I shared this one with you already. This was a piece of paper that was on my table. I just kept kind of dabbing up inks as I had them on my workspace. And then I added in some of the stenciling using the scorched timber and my little tiny blending ink blender. I love it. And then this butterfly, and the text is one stamp. Also has a little bit of spritzing with it. And it's great for a pocket. It's great to make as a tag. It could be great for a card front. It could be great to add to a cluster in your scrapbook page. I'll just keep repeating that, guys, because I just want you to know I'm reading you guys talking about making for the joy of it, but save your makes because you'll make use of them or give them away even better. Let's make this be curious. Okay, to put this card together, I'm not going to go through all the supplies. The supply list, I will designate that in the description if you have any curiosity about that. So I'll talk through things as I go through. So here goes our how-to for making this card. Mine's a Be Curious card. Yours can be a Be Curious card or any kind of sentiment. I just want to clarify that even right now, just whatever sentiment you want to put there. Okay, so for the first thing we're going to do, you saw I grabbed a piece of A2 mixed media paper. I'm going to use the Distress Oxide Victorian Velvet, and I'm just going to go ahead and color this whole entire piece of the A2. There's going to be times in this video, because I've already shared so much and I want to be mindful of the length of the video, that I might just speed up the process, but it's not going to take away from you seeing. You're seeing this card come to life from start to finish. So just wanted to kind of preface that, and I will just go ahead and cover the rest of this paper. Okay, so the next part then is to take and choose one of the Tiny Prints background stamps and cover that with the Distress Oxide. Kind of shared already a little bit. I don't have any great techniques for covering background stamps. It's just a matter of taking your time and getting that color pressed onto your stamp surface. I just love it. I still love this color so much. I find it terribly versatile. As you're seeing, we're using it today with the scorched timber, right? Love that. Love that. Okay, and so the next thing I want to do is just spritz the stamp with some water. You don't need a whole lot, and I would probably suggest, if you're going to do it like that, I usually take it away from my table and just kind of spray it out so that I don't make anything on my table wet, and then I can just bring my project right back in without it being wet. So that's why I'm taking a moment there to dry that. So what I should have done, watch me go now. I'm going to go ahead and just lay this on here because I did not put this on a stamp background. And I should have stamp block. So I'm going to grab a stamp block. Since the stamp is so big, I could just go right there on top of it and lay that down. And I did not get this on the paper very straight, mostly because I didn't have a stamp block. And so what you can do then is just trim off the edges so that you have a straight stamp image. So you can see here how we got a little bit of that kind of watercolor effect, and you know, some of the stamp is not completely clear, and you could go with more water on that to make it even more of a watercolor effect, or you could leave it like that. And I'm going to trim off my edges so that they are clean and straight. Okay, having grabbed another piece of the A2 mixed media paper, I'm using an ink blending tool, and basically because I don't have any of my blending brushes that are in this color family, I need to order some more. So I prefer the brushes when I'm adding this, and I'm noticing too, I'm kind of actually making this a little bit darker than what happened here on the card. That's okay too. That's the thing, right? With inks, with stamps even, with oxides, you're not always going to get the same results every time. And it's a matter of embracing that and being okay with that, and kind of actually even welcoming it. It's like, okay, what's this going to look like before? I sort of touted with my card make the first time how indeed that scorched timber was so light and so like latte to me. I don't know if I used that term as earlier, but as I'm looking at it right now, I'm like, it's kind of got this whole great milky latte kind of thing. And you know, being a coffee girl, I am super all here for that. But this is what we're doing here, is just, again, re-inking our paper. It's a great way to make our, as you already saw, background paper, right? Especially if you're going to utilize some stamps. It's a great way then to customize your paper for whatever kind of die cutting you might have in mind. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the Vault wildflowers and cut up a bunch of those shapes. Okay, got these cut, and it still came out just like previously. It just looks like a totally different color when you have inked an entire piece of paper and then die cut it so intricately like this. It really brings on this kind of gray, but I'm still going to hold true to my whole milky latte kind of a view too. So that's fun. I love when we just get so much from a color like that. Okay, so if you're going to cut one wildflower, then cut all the wildflowers. If you're going to cut a set of them, cut 2 sets. If you're going to make a background, make several backgrounds while you have ink and spritz and background stamps out, and play with different colors. Have them at the ready. Save them. Put them someplace so that you know where they are. I have here also for another piece that we need to have for our card front is this, what I call a vintage label. And it's from the Vault pillow box and bag set. And so there's, I think I've talked about this already, but there's a couple of labels in here. I'm here for the labels. I love the labels. So I went ahead and cut one out with some of the scrap from the A2 size of the mixed media paper that I had used somewhere else. What I'm trying to do here is just use the residual that I have on this ink blending tool. It might not, let's do this. Let's pull this one in. Yeah, there's this one, I don't know, this one kind of just holds the ink better. So you can kind of just pick it up and use it without having to re-ink the whole thing. So this is the little tiny blending tool. It's just so cute. Have I said that yet? It is so cute. So this is also a great way of adding color to elements, customizing them, and making your inks work for you. I might not be able to replicate this exactly, but I did find this take risk. It's not very long, so we're going to go ahead and make use of that. They're pretty thick, and I just peel away from the back side because I don't want to crease my front. I just peel away the chipboard pieces. And like, why would you buy chipboard pieces and then peel it away? Because sometimes I don't peel it away. And so you can get this pretty thin. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's pretty thin. So then what I'm going to do is just fold that over, but I want some room for my staple. So I just need a crease. That's all I'm doing there. Just however you want to get a nice crease on that. That is all I am doing there. I'm just going to see how this fits so far. And I will go ahead, actually, staple that with the tiny attacher, and then grab the little tiny ink blending tool with the residual. Just going to get it some edged inking. And then I'm going to set this aside for now because I think at this point we are, oh, I have one more thing. I happen to have this double ticket thing. Now, you can use any tickets. I'm using this from the Tranquility collection. It's the ephemera, 49 in market, and there is actually a couple of these tickets, and so that's why I got lucky and I had another one to use. You can use any background. You can die cut a shape. You can use a large label. You can use a circle. Anything you want. You can cut something up and make that use. I'm just using a ticket. Don't feel like you have to. Okay, so at this point we are going to start layering all our elements, and then we're going to be done. So just hang on here as we finish this up. Super fun to get all your pieces ready first, right? I'm just kind of giving the edges a little bit of some distress, nothing major. Okay, for this I have been using the 1mm adhesive foam. So I'm going to just get about 2 pieces here. There's like a 1mm at scrapbook.com now. There's a 2mm, there's a 3mm. I really enjoyed having those different sizes to add these layers. And again, let's talk about this for half a second here. This is just all Embellish Clusters 101. If you're not familiar with that video, that's a class. No, it's not a class, it's just a video. It's just a free video here on my channel that you can watch and learn how I go about my layering. Okay, so next I'm going to do is also from the Tranquility. This is Tranquility. I'm just going to kind of go through here. Oh, I'm going to use this one and grab a postage washi. Again, another piece of the collection from 49 & Market. I'm just going to lay it sideways here. I'm going to kind of let these edges go over the edge. I'm going to do the same thing, just add some of the 1mm adhesive foam here to the back, and I'm going to center this for the most part right here on the ticket, okay? So the next thing we're going to do, as you can probably guess, is layer in our wildflower pieces. You can use any of them you want. And actually one thing that I did was I took one of, let me see, do I have here? I took one of the bigger ones and I trimmed it down. And then I just let it stick to the back of the card. And that way it was just kind of a flat piece and everything else layered over it. So it doesn't need a lot of glue at all. Just needs to be adhered in place and flat. I know, can you believe I'm doing something flat here? But I am. So just like that. I'm going to have this all the instructions for this on my blog as well. And I don't have these instructions. What I will have, it's going to say, watch a video to see how this took place. Because what I found that I liked to do was I went ahead and added, you saw, the adhesive to the back of my sentiment. And then I just layered in these guys on top of it, right on there. So they're sticking because of that adhesive. So that was just a just a quick little thing that came to me as I was playing with this. What I did next, I added one more piece of this same adhesive foam to the top of that, and everything was just adhered down nicely, but it's not flat. And I know I did flat there, but I really love my elements to float. So that's how that card came together. And then you can see here in the first one, I just layered it to what is actually a large piece of ephemera, also from the Tranquility. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are as much in love with Scorched Timber as I am. It's a beautiful color. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.